we appreciate wholeheartedly everybody that's been tuning in and listening to the podcast. I really do, and I think Charles does too, appreciate feedback, whether it's if you know me personally, giving me a call or shoot us an email, or
Yeah.
hey, if there's something that you don't like or like,
Yeah.
I take notes.
Constructive criticism, anything you say, any way you think that Hav can improve, let me know. And I will absolutely talk to him about it gently and kindly the way I always do. Hav and Charles talking comics on the internet. Hav and Charles Talk Comics, brought to you by the Public Library. It's free, yo! Hi there, welcome to Hav and Charles Talk Comics. I am Charles Herring, and I'm here with my friend Javier Gonzalez. Hi, Hav.
Hey, Charles, how are you?
I'm doing really well. We have a little bit of a format change on our podcast today. I mean, it's not one y'all can see, but for the first time ever, Hav and I can see each other while we do the podcast. Not like we did anything weird, like went to each other's homes or something to record this. That would be insane. We still believe COVID exists. Actually, I refuse to let anybody come to my house as I live as a hermit. But we are on FaceTime with it muted, so hopefully Hav can interject at some point while I'm going on and on and on and on and on.
And vice versa, by the way, because I know sometimes I'll just get on a thing and I know you're probably just like, oh my God, take a breath. What is wrong with you?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
So yeah, this is episode podcast 5.
Episode 5, in which we discuss the Flintstones and the Eternals.
Yes, and you suggested to me that I read the first 6 issues collected as they were of the Flintstones series from 2016 by Mark Russell and Steve Pugh. And then I suggested to you Eternals by Jack the King Kirby. He wrote it, drew it, edited it, although we can talk about that more. But yeah, so that's what we're talking about today.
That we are. So here on our fifth episode, we're going to do a little format change. Truly, we've gone chronologically up till now, but since the Eternals came out when Hav and I were in diapers, well, what year did it come out?
I just pulled that up. It came out in '76. So yeah,
4,
I mean I was 2, so I was probably hopefully out of diapers.
Oh yeah, I was. I don't know. I don't know. I was 3. I could ask my parents, but they'd lie. So this time, though, I thought we would talk about the Flintstones first because we seem to get into the first part deep, and then sometimes we trail off on the second part. Which, let's be honest, the comics we read that we talk about in the second part are always the better comics.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, look, I'm finding myself suggesting stuff to you that we're nostalgic here. The first few runs, episodes 1 through 4. This one I just had never read, and I'm a big Jack Kirby fan. I was like, you know what? The movie's coming out. I can't believe I've never read this. I've never read all of Fourth World stuff that he did at DC, but yeah, that's why I suggested this. But yeah, you know what? Guess what? The more recent stuff is more just better. Guess what? The mediums evolved.
It has. The really fun thing about reading all of these things, the way we've done it so far, is seeing where the newer writers have gotten where they are now from where they came. They are standing on their shoulders. They didn't come up and do this art form all on their own. So I should not poke fun at it. I loved reading those comics as a kid, except as I pointed out, I didn't read. Did they drive? Did they drive the truck right through your living room?
You know what? And I do the podcast in the front
Yeah.
room and the street. I'm on a corner. Our house is on a corner, and our walls are paper thin. So
The last one I edited, I think it was episode 4. It was coming in on my street because I also am facing a street and a corner, and I a lot of them were from me, but that one I could tell was from you because it was coming in through my headphones instead of.
well, and I'm glad we're doing this before it gets dark, because it's the 4th of July that we're recording this on, this episode, and the fireworks in my neighborhood and probably gunshots will ensue here shortly. So there's that too.
Hooray!
But,
I made that comment to somebody as I was leaving work today because I was like, oh wait, I may have chosen poorly on our the night to do fireworks because everybody's talking about, yeah, my dogs, I gotta put them up and it's gonna go nuts and people are having bottle rocket fights in the lawn outside. I'm like, oh man,
Yeah.
pop pop. All right,
Mhm.
so the Flintstones. What'd you think of it?
Yeah. It was excellent. It was. I can't. We can talk about specifics, but satire, I guess,
Oh
if
yeah,
to the umpteenth degree. And I made a list of stuff. I mean, they talk about marriage, work, life, God,
praise Gerald.
war. Yeah, praise Gerald. And just news as a new thing, getting the news and
Crap.
how and what accumulation of stuff and commercialism.
It's called crap. No one knows what
Yes,
it is, and everybody wants it.
right, right. And then you know what? So yeah, so just if people don't know, it's just a from 2016. Mark Russell and Steve Pugh just do a great job of using the Flintstones to just put a mirror up to our society, and they just do it brilliantly. I tore through this. It was pretty much maybe I finished up one or two issues, but the first three or four or five I think I went through in a night because it was just easy to get into it. So yeah, and no, I thought it was great. There's so much. I hope people that hear this will pick it up because it is definitely one of the best things I've read here recently.
It really is. It's so incredibly surprising when you think about most comic book tie-ins to things. Okay, well, no, let me go back. First off, that's not necessarily true because the G.I. Joe comic I read in the 80s was 2 billion times better than the G.I. Joe cartoon.
Yeah,
It still wasn't great, but it was better. But so often when there's a cartoon or a any kind of, hey, we're going to license this into a comic book about it, it can be just so weird and so bad, and this was so great and so brilliant that it was kind of a massive shift.
sure. And I bet I'm almost positive they did Flintstones comic books back when they were first making the cartoon, however long ago that was. From the '60s, I guess. Is that when the Flintstones? Anyways, I should have looked that up.
You
But
are
I
our
bet you
you are our research guy.
I know, but I bet you're right that even that adaptation, did I say that right?
Yes.
Adaptation of the Flintstones back then was probably just to promote the cartoon,
Mm-hmm.
and probably not any better or worse than the cartoon is what it is. I used to watch it in reruns, but what they did with this was to take the property and use it to make some pretty insightful points about stuff. I mean,
It was damning.
yeah, oh God. I mean, the stuff thing, because I buy stuff that I don't need, but hey, it's on sale. Like I'm losing money if I don't buy this thing. I mean, for example, the whole work thing. There's one panel at the beginning where he's training the Neanderthals. Fred's training the Neanderthals, and they're like, "Why do you wear a tie?" And he's like, "Well, I read somewhere, dress for the job you want, not the one you have." And he's like, "Well, how long have you been doing this job?" And he just kind of puts his head down. It's like 15 years.
Yeah. No, that was
Where
that was incredible. It was also along the lines of with the Neanderthals when they pay them money after they've said that they hate their job. And he says, "Well, what do I do with this?" And the answer was, "Well, you buy something that someone else who hated their job made."
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's like, "Oh, hey, capitalism."
yeah. And then like towards the end of this, the I was about to say show. Towards the end of the run that we read, there's also the cool thing, the interaction between the animal appliances.
Oh my
And
gosh,
there was a
yes.
poignant, and the word that came to mind was poignant exchange between the elephant vacuum cleaner and the armadillo bowling ball. And I screenshotted it and I meant to send it to you.
I screenshotted it too. And the funny thing is, since we're doing this, normally I realize I've made a horrible mistake. I normally go through my iPad and look at these
Right.
screenshots that I took,
Me too.
except they're
Yeah.
on my iPad that I am now using right now to FaceTime use, so I
I
can
just
interrupt
realized that too.
sometimes.
I just realized that too. And I don't know if. Oh, maybe it
Oh,
does.
awesome! It pictures in pictures.
Well, and I have it here on my phone.
Oh, well,
No, there's this part. He's talking to the armadillo, the little pink elephant that's a vacuum cleaner. He says, "I have no idea when I'll ever see daylight again. But do you know what keeps me going there in the dark?" And the armadillo says, "What?" The elephant goes on and says, "Knowing that my friend Bowling Ball is on the other side of the door. It makes me think. Maybe the only meaning to life is that which we get from each other." And I was like, I got chills when I read it the first time, and I just got chills reading it out loud now. That was some damn great writing. To the point where I was like, I'm screenshotting this.
yeah.
That was just so freaking brilliantly touching and true. That's just one example of every panel is
To
good. I mean,
to follow up literally on that one, I pulled one of those. I did. It's Wilma talking to Fred, and it's talking about her memories, and she says human beings are just walking accumulation of love and regret. The only thing that ever made me happy is being next to someone who loves me. All I ever got from a tribulite cooker is regret.
yeah. I mean, there's the whole, and speaking of the Fred and Wilma relationship, marriage is a new thing then,
Uh huh.
apparently. And I thought, again, the satire and the putting it at the mirror, people are against marriage. And
Oh yeah.
marriage is bad. But then, you know, Fred grew up with two guys that were gay that wanted to get married, and then all of a sudden, the pro-marriage people were like, "Well, wait a second, two guys can't get married. Hold on, don't be crazy." But there's already anti-marriage people, period, in bedrock back then. It was just things like that. Just oh god, the Neanderthals quitting after essentially 1 day or 2 days of working. Like, no, we're done with this. This
Yeah.
is dumb.
Yeah, I'm going back. I'm leaving civilization. The whole idea, when I first read it, I went and found it at the library because I'd read a bunch of articles about it. I went ahead and got it because they were talking about this. The whole thing of the yabba dabba do being what they say because they're working with their PTSD in their military group, and the byplay between Fred and Barney when they're talking about when they went to war to fight the tree people, and the absolute skewering of the jingoism to cause wars has to be a lot with what went on with the Iraq War. I mean, it really reminded me of the Iraq War. And since it was written in 2012, I'm going to guess there was something going with that. But then the comment at one point, and I can't remember if it was Fred or Barney said it, we participated in a genocide. It wasn't.
Oh yeah.
I was just like, whoa, all right, that was.
No, by the way, not just because I have it pulled up, but it's 2016. But
Oh,
it's still.
2016. Was it 20?
And by the
Okay.
way, yeah, it was
Oh,
2016
yeah.
when the
Well, thank
series.
you.
No, it's okay, but I thought of that too. The pretense for the war was that the tree people were going to attack, and they
Yes.
absolutely weren't. And then there's
I,
there's another very weird scene where Fred is. It's after they've won, and Fred goes something to the effect of the tree people weren't going to invade us,
yeah, you
and
don't
and,
bring
and
your kids to an invasion.
because
You
he finds a doll
uh huh.
in the carnage and
Mm-hmm.
aftermath of the battle, and he's like, yeah, because you don't bring your kid to a freaking invasion. I mean, these are just a few examples. I mean, like I said, every issue is chock full of just gut punches, and yeah, it's just great.
10 of 10 would read again. Actually, I did read it again. I read it again to talk to you about it. So, and it was just as holy crap, this freaking comic book's amazing as it was the first time I read it.
Yeah, I'm just now just thinking of different things. Mr. Slate,
His
you know,
whole everything about Mr. Slate was every boss, every small business owner, big fish in a small town guy
right.
you'll ever meet.
And then when the end of the world is happening, or they think it's going to happen,
Uh huh.
which is hilarious. And he's like, "Hey, look, it's the end of the world. We're all going to die tomorrow. If anybody wants to come hang out at the mansion, come on over." And everybody's like, "See ya," because guess what? You're a dick. We don't like you. We're only here for the paycheck. You're not our
Yes.
friend. You've never been our friend. Don't pretend now that you're our friend.
E- Episode one.
What
Gosh damn it. The
issue one?
start. Yes.
What
Yes.
episode? Okay.
Yeah. No. No. I'm irritated with me because I was saying episode instead of issue one. The beginning of it is that they're in a museum where they have thawed out a Neanderthal, And that kind of takes us back, and they're like, no, this was a rock quarry, and there was a small Stone Age civilization here, and this whole thing is it's one of these Neanderthals, and we begin the whole thing with Mr. Slate wants to hire Neanderthals because they're stronger and bigger and they can do more, so he gets Fred to do that, and then he gets them hired and they're doing it and they invite him to a party, and all throughout all the comics, Mr. Slate is talking about how he'll be remembered and he wants to be remembered and no one likes him. And then the gut punch was after he causes the death of this Neanderthal who was found. They're like, we don't know. We assume because of this necklace that he had paid the guy to do the thing that got him killed.
Right.
We assume he owned the quarry.
So, you're right. And Mr. Slate, for all his machinations, just the other dude that nobody remembers from a long time ago.
Yeah.
And hey, I'm sorry, I know we're jumping around a little bit, but you mentioned the war thing. You know, them going to their group and the whole thing, very Band of Brothers when they're talking about you're going to fight in this war, not because of X, Y, and Z, but because you're going to fight for your brother. We're a family now.
Yeah.
I mean, just all that too. I'm sorry. I didn't want to let that go before I forgot. But that whole issue, yeah. And then you're right, Fred and Barney. Oh, and then we find out that's how Barney and Betty are having trouble having a kid. And in the aftermath of decimating the tree people, Barney finds a baby. Mm-hmm. And that turns out he brings the baby home, and that turns out to be Bam Bam, and that's why. And it's a great explanation as to why Bam Bam is so much freaking stronger than everybody else, right?
Yeah, he's a tree person.
He's a tree person, you know, and apparently they were super strong. I don't know, but it's great.
Yeah.
What else? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, they do the whole arc with Pebbles and Bam Bam in school. And they're doing there's an election going on, so they're doing school elections during the election, and it's a typical politician in Bedrock against Grodd son of Grodd the Destroyer, or something like. I literally that's not the name, but it's similar to that idea of this just monster type evil we have to attack before. The son of the person that caused them to fight the tree people, talking about, well, we're going to be attacked and we have to do this and da 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 da. And then in the school, they have a bully running against a nerd. Yeah. And he is a bully. He's taking money from people. He's scaring people into everything. And then Pebbles steps into it. And because Pebbles got into it, the bully decided to say something, and then Bam Bam took care of it.
Yeah, Bam Bam's her muscle.
Yeah,
and I do like, as opposed to the cartoon, the Flintstones cartoon, Bam Bam and Pebbles I think are firmly in late middle school, high school age. We're thinking, right? That's what I was thinking.
So, yeah, I would say middle school. Yeah.
Man.
So still real bullying, but old enough to. I don't even. They were little kids in the cartoon, weren't they?
Yeah, they were little.
Yeah,
kids.
They were
small.
Like babies. Yeah.
Yeah, they were pretty much babies, but Bam Bam was still super strong for some reason.
Oh yeah. That was the actually just old knowledge that I have. God help me. So when the Flintstones came along, and I don't think Pebbles was their child immediately. I think she came along later. They were discussing having a child, and they were going to be a boy and call it Chip, for Chip off the old block. They decided it tested better that they have a daughter. I think there was a doll thing. They wanted to do this whole stuff, and so they named her Pebbles.
Okay.
So Pebble off the old block. So yeah, it was interesting to me.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah, with my little marketing brain.
Yeah, that's a good reason to change it. Why not? And look.
Hey.
Yeah.
Turn towards.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I'm
trying to look at this. I'm trying to.
No, you're good. It's just making me. It's just making me realize why sometimes you go away when you're talking to me on the thing, and I'm like, okay, I think it's not picking up as well. This is literally people listening at home, or in the car, or at the gym, or wherever you might listen. Hav and I's sounds are different, and it's because I sit an inch and a half away from my mic, and he seems to be running all around his room. I'm just glad he's kind of got pants on.
Yeah. Well, as far as you know. I could be completely Winnie the Pooh-ing this thing. You wouldn't know. I do
know you're wearing a Fantastic Four t-shirt.
I am. I did that on purpose because it's the 4th of July.
Oh, Oh, wow. I just thought you did it because you're a giant nerd.
Well, there's that too. That's absolutely true. But I did see the 4 on it. I was like, hey, it's
Oh yeah,
Fourth of
no,
July.
that's great, and it's a blue shirt. That's one
Yeah,
of
it's
the
blue.
it's one of the three colors.
So yeah, okay. So let me going back to Flintstones here. The other part that I thought was great was the whole scientist at the the last few issues or the last issue or two. Maybe it was the last issue. I don't remember. Yeah, yeah, it was because the fifth issue was I think about the election going on. Then the last issue is about the scientist using his newfangled technology and abacus, and of course they have like some kind of play on words so that it's an applecus or something. He figures out that there's an asteroid that's going to slam into the Earth and kill everything and blah blah blah. And I want to say I did not Google this. That scientist, yeah, there you go. You can hear me now.
Yeah, it started. You said it came back. You went
Right?
away
Yeah,
for
that
a
was
second.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. No, I could hear it in my cans too. I stopped. Yeah, that was weird.
Okay.
I was so. Anyways, I was gonna say, that last issue that we read because we read the first 6 issues and it's a
Uh-huh.
12 issue series. The scientist just figures out that an asteroid's gonna
Yeah.
it's a world killer, and everybody goes to their base.
Oh
Just
yeah.
animal, just disregard for everybody else, and you see people at their worst when they
Yes.
have no consequences, and their civilization that they're so proud of quickly devolves into just anarchy, except for a few people.
Yeah.
And that was nice. Oh, and the scientist, I didn't Google this. I was going to say, I didn't Google this, but that scientist to me sure did remind me or look like a little bit of what I remember Carl Sagan
Oh
looking
no,
like.
that's
And
absolutely Carl Sagan.
okay,
Yeah, no,
okay,
there
that's
was
what I thought.
I didn't need to Google that. That was Carl Sagan. Yeah.
And I don't remember the scientist's name as we're sitting here talking,
Oh, I
but,
don't remember it either.
but,
But I
uh,
don't remember names. I think I've proven that on
uh,
many an occasion.
but no, so everybody
Steven.
go, and then of course he figures out he's doing some experiment with moths, and a moth is on the abacus, and so he did the calculation wrong, and he figures out,
Yes.
oh no, it's gonna miss, and so that the news guy, who would like the day before is on the air just telling everybody, you guys, I don't care, and he's like cursing, and you know, what the heck are we doing? I'm getting out of here, and then he's got to go back and say, I apologize for some of my comments I may have made when I thought the world was going to end and there would be no consequences for my actions. So, God, that was so good. Any other highlights or thoughts? Because again, I can't say enough good things about this thing. I really can't.
No, neither can I.
Uh,
I absolutely loved it. I I thought it was just an amazingly insightful satire of American society.
yeah.
It just nailed it on so many levels.
Now, one thing we didn't really talk about just now, but one issue is just about the whole God thing,
Oh yeah.
and they're
Ah!
switching
Pe-
their God.
Pe-
First,
Peaches
what was it at the
saves.
yeah, it's
On the
peaches.
back of their, but on the back of their, oh my
Car.
gosh, on the back of the car, Peaches saves. Yes, when they're switching them up, and they're worshiping different animals. Peaches, to let everyone know if they haven't read it, is a baby elephant that's being sold as a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah,
That's the vacuum cleaner, which Hav was mentioning before has the same. It's not Peaches. It's another little baby elephant. Is the one in the closet that has the most sweet and poignant, beautiful interaction with the bowling ball, who does
yeah,
not understand. Oh, the whole thing between the two of them too. They don't understand. I don't understand why he's so angry that he just throws me so hard down the lanes.
yeah. And is this my life? I think
This
he
is this.
yells,
Yeah.
he yells at one point. Yeah,
Oh,
that's just so sad.
it really is. The implications of enslaving animals to do your bidding. Oh, and the whole Uncle Dino thing when because they take back all of a lot of their stuff, and one of the things they took back was a dishwasher. It was an octopus, and it's missing an arm. It has 7 arms, and the guy goes, Fred goes, it had 7 when we got it. They're like, store credit only.
Yeah,
And he sees Dino, and he's like, well, what does that do? And the guy's like, nothing. And he's like, that's what we want.
done.
And so they get Dino, and
Yeah,
he's just a pet.
yeah. Now he's just a sweet pet. But
Uh-huh.
really, going back to the God thing,
Yeah.
the God issue. They switch the God a couple times, and then the guys in charge of the church figure out, well, let's just make God invisible,
Yes.
so we don't
And
have to have a thing.
and they call him Gerald.
And they call him Gerald. That's right, Gerald. Discuss. So yeah, because all words are made up, so why not just call God Gerald? And it was, uh, people question, and then the church comes back in at the end of the world issue. People are in the church like, oh, what's the point of all this? And why isn't Gerald? Why isn't Gerald
I,
doing something about this?
I stopped hitting people with clubs for this, and I loved hitting people with clubs.
Yeah. And Gerald's not going to stop the world from ending? What the heck? What the heck? That's crazy. So, look, I don't know. Talking about the artists and the creators, Mark Russell, Steve Pugh.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Mark Russell's written other stuff. I don't know what else he's done, but I tell you what, if I see his name on something, I'm probably going to want to read it because that's how good this is.
He's going to write a Fantastic Four thing I saw recently.
Ooh.
Yeah. They're doing, okay. I think, this is just running off something I read recently, so I could be getting all the particulars wrong. Marvel's been doing, not like their year one thing, but they're doing some more reimagining of that, and they did it with a couple of other ones. Oh, I am doing a poor job of this. Again, should have researched this. But what he's writing is a Fantastic Four one, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I don't know when it comes out, but it might be out. And,
cool. No.
And you mentioned you read Snagglepuss.
I have read Snagglepuss, and it's been a little bit, and I need to pick that back up.
Yeah,
Is that Mark Russell? You don't even remember. Is that Mark
Russell?
Yeah,
that's Mark Russell too.
That's Mark Russell too?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes absolute sense. It's been a few years, I think, at least.
Yeah, I'm going to read it. I kept meaning to read it. I would love to get a copy of that first issue with that cover art with Snagglepuss. I absolutely, that is one of my favorite covers of a comic book. Do you know?
Is it like the Statue of Liberty pose?
Yes, it's exactly that. And I would like to make a frame and put it in that.
Oh yeah, no,
because I think that is it's just the art on that and everything about it. The whole idea of Snagglepuss being a gay actor in the 50s, and
yeah,
I can't believe I haven't read it yet.
You know what? How did I not connect? I knew that was Mark Russell.
You did. We literally talked about this.
I knew that was Mark Russell. You're right. You're right, because when you suggested it, I was like, oh, the guy that did Snagglepuss. Cool.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, you're right. That's right. Brain fart.
That's okay. That's all right.
And now that I'm saying that, did Steve Pugh do the art on that too? Because it kind of looks like maybe he did.
I do not know.
Okay. Anyways.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
the internet does.
I bet you it does. But the way my setup is, my keyboard's too far away.
Yeah, I got you.
No,
you're good. You're good.
I'll effort on that later.
Okay.
No, I don't know if there's anything. If you got any other bullet points or thoughts.
No. I think I've covered everything. I really wanted to talk about it. I did want to say that I absolutely adored it.
And I don't know what you're planning to suggest. Did you want to finish up the next 6 issues for next?
I'm going to read them. I'm going to read them, but I thought
okay.
we'd go ahead and do something else.
Cool. Okay.
I mean, not that it wouldn't be great to talk about it, but I figured we just read. I've got a suggestion. I started reading something that I have two. I have your next two picked out. I'm starting to read one. I've read the other one. I actually am getting the other one from the library for you because I went ahead and ordered it because we're on a time crunch.
Yeah. When are we all done with the issue? Oh man, you got me doing it. I was in issues that have been released. You've messed up my brain.
We are recording on the 4th right now. This will be the quickest turnaround we have done because this is coming out on the 9th.
Is it really?
Yeah.
We're all.
Oh, we have been. We were already caught up. Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure if we had room more in the can or not. I guess not. Nope. I'm just losing track of time.
Everything other than what we are discussing right now is on the internet for anybody to hear.
And Charles, how do they do that? How can people find this podcast?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, Javier. The way they do that is the way they go to any podcasts, be it on Apple Podcasts or Google or Spotify.
And I've heard from some friends of mine, because I have other friends besides you, Charles.
How dare you?
Just, I know. Apparently, for people that use Android phones, Spotify is the way to go.
Is it better on
Uh,
Spotify than the Google?
yeah,
Okay.
at least that's my understanding.
Okay.
So yeah, there's that, and then of course we got our Twitters, the Twitter thing, which I always blank on, but I'm looking up right now. What the handle is? You think I would know that? It is
J
yeah. Go ahead.
at J and C Talk Comics.
Yeah, there you go.
And our unpaid intern has not been very active there recently.
Yeah, well,
I
again, that's what you get when they're not paid.
well, he's paid in Hobbs sadness,
Yeah, my
and
tears.
you've been too damn happy lately.
I have been. I've been in a good mood.
That's good. That's
Um,
very good. We also have an email address you can reach us at. That is, what's your email address again? No, it's
yeah,
oh shoot.
yeah. You set up an
Oh
email address
wait.
for the podcast, right?
Yeah, I set it up. Like I said, I think I've mentioned this before. I set it up before I set this and the email up before I even mentioned the podcast to you.
Right.
It's Hob and Charles Talk Comics at gmail.com.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Okay, that's easy.
and written out. Hob and Charles Talk Comics at gmail.com. I actually get that on my. If someone were to send me an email there, I would get it, and I might read it on the air.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey.
To the handful of wonderful people that are listening to this, I would. This is this. Oh God, here it is, guys. Please rate us, like and subscribe, that kind of thing. Even if you don't want to listen anymore, that would be wonderful. We do actually have one 5-star rating on iTunes or Apple iPod Apple. Good Lord, on whatever the Apple podcast thing is called. We have a 5-star rating from someone, and that's great. I assumed it was Hav. Hav assumed it was me.
Right.
It was neither of us. I think it probably should be both of us, but I can't be that kind of asshole quite yet.
Yeah, I would feel weird even liking and rating my, our own podcast. So yeah, it was nice though.
Are you kidding? I like my own tweets.
Oh, there you go.
No, I don't. Well, technically, I don't, because I'm not the unpaid intern.
There you go. Oh, ooh. I don't know
So
what you're talking about.
yeah, other news. Since I guess we're doing an other news segment, we might be doing a bonus pod, and that might be in place of the pod after this next week. There's been some talk. Hav and I and our friend Caesar are going to see Black Widow on Friday. We even have tickets, and Hav's gonna dress up as Black Widow, and I think Caesar's gonna dress up as Hawkeye, and I'm gonna dress up as that Russian dude.
Yeah, yeah. I got my full leather jumpsuit
Sweet.
with the front zipper and everything. I'm ready to go. I got my red wig, so we're good.
You gonna trim your beard up a little bit?
No,
Okay.
we're just staying on.
All right. I just said trim it. I didn't say take it off. I was just trim.
I don't even know. In fact, no. Just whatever it's looking like on this coming Friday. That's what I'm going to be rocking.
But there's
No, but yeah.
yeah, we're considering. Well, we've talked about doing a movie review podcast with Caesar.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So yeah,
I think that'd be great. And also get Caesar on here. And
Yes.
he'll throw out some hot sports opinions on comic books and comic book movies.
Yes, he would, and we can find out what his favorite comic book character is and make fun of him for that too.
Right. Since apparently me liking Cyclops is just laughable.
No, actually, that was the long the long Twitter thread we had when I called you out on it on our on our text thread, and Caesar's like, I get it, I like Cyclops, so both of you are weird. I'm telling Gail Simone on both of you.
There you go. Yes, God, dude, she's so good. Just trolling these people that don't know her bit.
Oh my gosh,
It's so great.
it makes me so
okay, well,
happy.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, and hey, speaking of movies, one of the reasons I suggested
Ooh,
that we
segue.
read Eternals. Did you see that? Did you
Yeah,
like that?
I like it.
That was pretty good, right?
It was nice to see you do it too. You're like, oh,
Yeah, you
I got-
could almost see.
I can see Segway face. He's like, I got this. I'm
hold on.
bringing this. I'm gonna get this back on track. I'm gonna roll this right into the next comic book. Hav, what other comic book did we read?
we read The Eternals by Jack the King Kirby. And the reason I suggested Eternals was because, well, first, I never read it somehow. I read different versions of it later, I realized, or parts of it for sure, them in the Marvel universe later on, but not the original 1976 to probably 77 comic book that was the first appearance of said Eternals. And I did that because the movie's coming out.
I got you.
Because I was like, hey,
Yeah.
let's they're making Marvel's once again, Marvel Cinematic Universe is once again going to bring to the big screen one of their properties that probably, I would guess, non-comic book person on the street doesn't know, right? Do you
I
think
didn't
people?
know. I didn't know.
Okay.
So I'm gonna lean kind of hard into what you say and say, yeah, probably a lot of people don't know jack about the Eternals, and that was not no offense to Kirby. I didn't mean,
Yeah.
but that worked well.
Yeah,
I
that
didn't
did.
know I didn't know jack about the Eternals. When they mentioned it, I still didn't know because I didn't follow up. And everybody was like, yeah, the Eternals are this and the Eternals are that. And I kept getting them confused in my head with the Inhumans. You, sir, also at one point while talking about the Eternals, mentioned Lockjaw, which is not an Eternal. It is an
You're right.
Inhuman. No, it was,
That's
that clicked with me. I'm like, wait, that's an Inhuman, which was the Fantastic Four's answer to mutants before they were, yeah, so.
Yeah. Well, and what I'm figuring out, so the Eternals, Jack Kirby, if you want to jump into it.
Yeah, well, I thought we had.
Okay. Well,
I mean, I can dunk on your mistakes more.
no, it's okay.
All
I'm
right.
okay. Thank you.
All
But if you
right.
want to, anytime. Uh,
We'll keep it going after the pod.
there you go. Jack, the King Kirby, one of the founders of, founding artists of Marvel back in the early 60s.
One of the founding artists of the comic book era. He
Right.
was one of the creators of Captain America in the early 40s. He
Yes.
started doing comic books in the very beginning in the golden age. He is instrumental in everything we know about comic books, period. He helped do it. That's why I'm going to feel so bad when we talk about the Eternals.
I will. Okay, so we'll get to that because you're right. Jack Kirby predates Marvel. Yeah, as a comic book creator, him and Joe Simon created Captain America, the famous cover of Captain America #1, Captain America punching out Hitler. That's before we're actually in World War II. That comic book comes out.
That's when I quit reading comics. Those social justice warriors just immediately pissed me off with trying to bring their liberal claptrap into an art form that was almost 4 years old at the time.
Exactly. How dare they? I mean, and speaking of it only being 4 years old, look, besides Kirby, you're really talking about probably the Superman creators, right? Simon and Schuster.
Yes.
I mean, he's in the same, I think, pantheon as those two guys. If not more important.
There you go. I would legitimately say he was more important just because he did more, he created more, he drove more. And that's not a knock against the Superman boys, but
Yeah.
he kind of stands alone in my mind.
Well, but hey, he helped create, co-created Fantastic Four, X-Men, the Avengers, and then so many things that sprang from those titles.
He almost co-created Spider-Man.
Right. Steve Ditko,
God, thank God he didn't. When because he will say, oh no, I should have gotten paid for Spider-Man and I came up with these ideas and they didn't, and they went very far away from all of his suggestions on the Spider-Man character.
Right, and now to see some of there are drawings, his
Okay,
take on
Simon.
Spider-Man by Kirby that just don't. It's not the same as Ditko.
Oh yeah,
it's just different.
Well, yeah.
I'm sorry, I said it's Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. What did I say earlier? I said Simon and Schuster, which is a publishing company. That was driving me crazy.
That you did
Jerry
say that.
Siegel.
Do you know what? That's why when I said the Superman boys, I didn't repeat what you said because in my mind I went,
That didn't sound right.
that does not sound correct to me, but I'll just move on. And
That was driving me crazy. I had to Google it. I had to Google it on my phone. I was like, no, that's not right. How can I not remember their names? It's like, no, Jerry Siegel, Joe Shuster. Jeez Louise. So Jack Kirby helps create a plethora of characters, and Thor included in there. Although Thor is a mythological, hero from back in the day, but brings it to Marvel, does a lot of work with that. Eventually leaves Marvel and goes to work for DC for a spell there, and then eventually done at DC. And this is one of the first things I think he did when he came back to Marvel. I'm not sure. I know he had a run on Captain America too
Yeah,
in
I
the
think this is
70s.
what got him back. The little bit that I looked, he came back to do this.
Okay,
They
well,
gave him this, and then of course, he had to do other things because that's how you pay the toll of you get to do something you really want to do. Now you got to do some crap you don't want to do. We learned all about that in the Flintstones.
yeah,
The other thing, in order to do anything you want to do, you have to do all of this that you do not want to do. I spent all
that,
day, 8 to 5 today, doing something I don't want to do, so I could be on this podcast with you this evening.
and I'm glad you did that crappy stuff to be doing this right now. Hey, so real fast, not real fast, but God, it's a pet phrase of mine. I hate that. When Kirby was at DC, working for DC, he came up with the Fourth World and the New Gods, and you know, Dark Side, Mr. Miracle, New Genesis. Not exactly a parallel to the Eternals, but I can't, that there's these superhuman godlike beings that are apart from Earth, but sometimes are here. A little bit of similarity, not blow for blow, but I thought it was interesting that Kirby kind of has this thing for creating these mythical godlike people that are apart from us and more powerful. I mean, he did it with the Inhumans too. It's a similar measure, right?
Yeah, he
Um,
seems to he seems to be doing the same thing over and over again in some of these things, and that's not a knock. There are a lot of writers that do that. He branches them out differently when he does them, but there's a fantasy writer. I read a lot of his books, and he literally would write the same book over and over again with sometimes different characters, but it was the same. He was really thinking back now that I've read this whole thing about what is that called? Ring trilogies or what somebody I sent you that article years ago about the whole Star Wars and what that is and how it
yes,
repeats back and I he was doing that. Oh my gosh, he was doing that. Wow, maybe he was doing that intentionally because now that I think about it, I think he was doing that intentionally because that was this whole thing. So it's just different people doing the same things and it's just this over and over. Holy cow. All right. Now I was
yeah,
gonna say, but it was this is the themes I want to talk about, and this is how I'm going to do it. And it was very much within the. I started to read the back because we only read the first volume of the Eternals that was on Hoopla, and it was the first however many episodes. It was 198 pages on Hoopla, so.
you
Um,
said episodes, not issues. The first 11 issues, but ding, 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 ding. Yes, touching.
well, see, I was thinking about what I was going to say instead of thinking of how I was going to say it.
Sorry, no. So
No,
you were
you're
reading
good.
the back.
Yeah, I was
You were reading
reading
that
about the
that
back,
back.
and they were talking about, and they were pointing out things that I'd already gotten from it. That this was back in the time period where people were thinking, "Hey, what if something from outside the universe came?" And the idea that aliens visited the Aztecs, and that there was life on Earth that was seeded by aliens, and we all came from that. And it very
Yeah,
much did remind me of all of those Saturday afternoon TV shows when nothing was on and they were getting those cheap shows about mysteries of the world, the Bermuda Triangle, the aliens that visited the Aztecs, and all of those shows when we were a kid. And Ripley's Believe It or Not, that wasn't Ripley's Believe It or Not, because those were actually like true things, but the
yeah,
fantasies
but
and the.
there was that one by Leonard Nimoy. Remember he voiced over one?
Yes.
Remember?
Yes.
Oh man, I'm blanking on all the names. And now there's that show on like A&E or the History Channel that I'm blanking on. That is very much still.
Oh,
Oh gosh, it's gonna kill me.
there's always going to be a place for flim flam for the common man.
Yeah, of course. Ancient Aliens. Ancient Aliens. I'm
There you
sorry,
go.
that was gonna kill me.
No, that's
Uh,
good.
but speaking of themes, yeah, I think Kirby had this whatever he needed to get out about these overarching themes of good versus evil and
Yes.
these godlike beings that aren't gods, but they're just more powerful than us, and to us they seem,
They seem like
you know,
gods.
they seem like gods.
Yeah.
And then going back to what you said when we first started talking about Eternals, I did make this note because I again I adore Kirby. I adore his art. I think it's a very much you can tell Kirby when you see his art. It is
Yeah, you can.
Kirby. He's just got a style.
The style is brilliant. I love the style. So I have to say that. So those are the rules. No, but it is the things he does with the scene and the buildings and the way everything is. It's amazing. And then you look at the women, and every woman looks the exact same. And then you look at the men, and every man looks the exact same. And it's just the most. Wait a minute, that's the same guy with blonde hair, and that's the same guy with dark hair, and that weedish looking fellow is still a 6'4", 260-pound linebacker.
But they're wearing different clothes,
But
Charles,
the,
and
I
so you can tell them apart. And maybe yeah, their hair is a different color and they got different eye colors. So yeah, no, I get that. I
uh
get that. And the other thing I was going to say is great big, the big idea
uh
for Eternals is great. My note, and this kills me to put. I wrote this down. Poor execution? Question mark.
Well, it's not poor execution. It's not fleshed out.
Okay.
It's broad strokes. Everything about it was broad strokes. That is my. This is. I'm going to say I enjoyed it. I really did. It took me a while to wade through it, but I enjoyed it. But everything was so early comics of we're going to cram so much in a comic because we're going to leave everything out. It's just going to be high points. Here's the action. There's no why is this going on? What should we do about this? What are the internal struggles about this? Nope. We're just gonna boom 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 and move through here.
No,
This
absolutely.
this literally should have been a Marvel wide event. God help us. But you know what I mean. This whole thing, and it's the Eternals. And if they did the Eternals now, if Kirby came here in what year is this, 2021, and said I want to do this thing called the Eternals, and they'd have been holy shit, you were dead. But okay, let's do the. They would
Somebody
do.
alert the media.
Yeah, they. No, they wouldn't alert the media yet. They'd let him write it all. They get all the artists and writers throughout Marvel involved. They do this whole huge 6-month arc involving everything, and they would all the ancillary titles. They would just break down everything, and then his, however many. I'm going to take a really long pause here to make sure I use the right word. Issues. And his however many issues would be more of the broad strokes, but everything in between would be fleshed out by other people.
And I think that goes to, I mean, I know this is the mid 70s, so it's
Mm-hmm.
not like it's the 40s or 50s or 60s even, but,
It,
Kirby's a man of his era.
exactly.
Uh, he did it the way he knew how to do it, I
Mm-hmm.
think. And so there's that. And then, hey, a company wide, Marvel wide event, that was not a thing in the 70s. That didn't
Mm-hmm.
become a thing until the 80s.
Yeah.
So, but, that stuff, I think I read the same thing you read at the end of this collection that we read, because we read the first 11 issues, I think, in that first collection. At first, I think, if I remember reading that right, because I read this a little while ago, Kirby wanted this to be a standalone thing, not part of the
Mm-hmm.
Marvel Universe 616. And
Uh-huh.
then at some point, I think it changed because then you have that one issue where some Shield agents are involved. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't.
There's one section where and I think something came down from on high saying, maybe somebody's like, this is kind of cool. We would love to get these guys involved in the
It,
regular Marvel universe.
and there really was only that was the brilliance of Marvel from the beginning when they came out with the Fantastic Four. It was all one universe. Everybody was in that universe, and they could run into each other, and they didn't really affect each other a lot of the time, but you had that opportunity.
Right, and apparently they all congregated in Manhattan.
Oh
A lot of
well,
them.
well,
Yeah,
duh.
yeah, I know. And the rest of the United States, like you weren't going to find somebody in Des Moines with a cape, apparently, back then. But anyways, so yeah, I mean, look, there is a lot in there, but you're
Oh,
right
hold on,
about.
hold on. I'm trying to think of how many Marvel superheroes wear a cape. Thor. I
Uh-huh.
mean, he'd probably call it a cloak.
Doctor Strange, which is a cloak.
Again, he'd call it a cloak. I
Sent
that's a cop out, but so
besides the Superman analogs like Sentry
exactly. Yeah,
and
I
Hyperion.
don't think there's a lot of capes.
Well, capes are a bad idea. You
Oh
know, they
well,
get caught. They get
we have learned that no
yeah,
capes.
yeah. No, no, bad idea. What were we talking about? You got me. You got me. Oh
I'm sorry.
no. So you know, and shoot, if you haven't read it, Eternals. Look, it's just this idea that back way when these Celestials, these
Gods.
gods,
Yeah.
quote unquote, small g
Well,
gods.
it's the same idea that they did with Thor, that he did with Thor, and they kind of do with the Inhumans when it first starts out, even though then it turns into something different. I think that's what the idea of the Inhumans were kind of like, more like the Eternals, but up there, that
Right.
aliens are to, well, was it Arthur C. Clarke that said any sufficient advancement in science seems like magic to, oh, I'm butchering that.
Yeah,
Yeah, to
I get the gist.
primitives, yeah, it seems like
Yeah.
magic. So the science seems like magic. So you have all of these aliens come down, like from Asgard, and they're so advanced scientifically, and they're so much stronger. They're so much everything that why that they're gods.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the
And
whole idea of the Celestials. Except the Celestials actually inseminated the world. I mean, seeded the world, and
they did, but they manipulated
they
the apes.
manipulated the apes, and they came up with three races of people. I mean, three actual races, completely different instead of what we think of as races, which is
Yeah.
somebody's got a tan. So that was us humans. We are one. The
Eternals.
Eternals, and the Eternals are they're godlike beings. They live forever. They have the power to levitate, and they all also have the power I think they have is also they be able to manipulate molecules. So basically, they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm curious if I think. Go ahead. I think those power sets get more focused and different later on in their appearances. I don't. I think, but yeah, you're
Well,
right.
I think too they each have their own things that they really focus on. They
Okay,
like anybody else, they have innate talents, so they can all seem to levitate and do certain things. And I swear they could all teleport. But I'm gonna think that a lot of them do things better than others, just like anything
right.
else. So that's kind of what they do. There's the one guy that they thought people in the past thought was Mercury because he just loves to run and he's always moving fast and he loves to run and he's so fast. And so there's Mercury, and the first one we meet is Icarus,
Right.
and he's kind of the Icarus from the
Mythology.
mythology, except he's not, because his hubris knows no bounds. He
Yeah.
can fly as close to the dang sun as he wants, man.
Exactly.
Oh my lord.
It's a little over the top. Oh, and the third race, that the Celestials,
Yes,
these huge
yes.
robot-looking
No. The
giants.
Celestials are not the third race. The Celestials are
No, no,
the gods.
they were
Yes,
created. That's who created all these.
yes.
The
The
Celestials,
third
these
race
huge,
are the
is the deviants.
degenerates. Oh no,
Deviants.
deviants. Sorry, I switched that in my head to degenerates because it's the same. Degenerate, the deviants. That may.
Yes. Now there is a couple parts that are a little poignant because you find out the deviants they're each of them is different, and they are kind of supposedly grotesque and ugly and don't look like you. Like the Eternals look human and vice versa, but the Eternals
Well, but
are
beautiful.
powered.
Well, Kirby beautiful.
Right. The deviants are not. They're one's a toad, one's just different color skin and scales. But within the deviants, I don't remember that little section where they're culling their own kind for the ones that are even too grotesque to them, and they're sending them to like a fire pit, which is very genocidal, kind of stuff for Kirby to
Yes.
be doing. Kirby, of course, Jewish American for World War II.
Yes.
I just thought that was I mean, it was interesting, and wow,
Yeah.
that was a big, that was a stuck it in there well. I don't know, that just struck me. I don't know.
Well, we're also first issuing here. I'm sorry, first episoding. We have not really defined what's going on in this arc. So it's starting out with a older man and his comely daughter, and a blonde-haired, strapping young man in the jungles of Central America.
Yeah, are they? You said Aztecs. Are they Mayan or Aztec? I forget now. You think I would know that?
I'm pretty sure they're
Or,
Aztecs.
was it Aztec they were looking at? I thought it was Mayan for some. It doesn't
Okay,
matter. Go
maybe it
ahead.
was. I
Okay.
have been known to be wrong.
But yeah, they're in some South American, American old school
Yeah,
Native American
yeah.
temple thing, and they find this wondrous machine, and we find out that the guy, it's a professor and his daughter's Margot.
They're looking for something, and
Yeah,
they end up finding it, and it turns out that what they're looking for is something to communicate with the Celestials.
correct. And then they reawaken somebody that back then they thought was a certain kind of deity
Mm-hmm.
god, but it's Ajax, an eternal,
Uh-huh.
like that is brought out of stasis essentially, and he's saying, okay, well, hey, we're thank you for doing this, and by the way, the Celestials are coming back,
Yep. They're on their way
and
back, and they are going to be here. Basically, they are going to lock down that little area where they are for 50 years while they judge the world and judge whether to let us keep going or exterminate.
yeah, I think that's the implication. I mean, I don't. Do they even say that point blank? They just say we'll pass judgment, right? Do
Yeah,
they
they're going to pass
say
judgment. Well, they don't say that in the first episode. Ah! In the first
dun,
issue.
dun.
They don't say that in the first issue. They do say that later on that
Okay,
they do this. They come back to these worlds that they did. They do their 50-year the fourth column or the fourth.
yeah. No, well, speaking of cramming a lot in, because there is throughout, like, okay, they were here to do the first thing when they created the three races,
Yeah.
the deviants, the eternals, and the human race, and then they came back and did a little more, and did they because and then maybe there was either two or three prior celestial visits to the Earth, and this is the fourth one, and this is the one where they're going to pass judgment. So, and then you get the Russians, the Soviets deciding that they don't like this, so they're going to fire a nuke at it, and the Celestial, just like with a thought, turns. They don't even launch yet. He gets in their heads and causes them all to die of a heart attack. Do you remember that part? That was so weird.
Yes.
It was so crazy. The Russians are going to launch a nuke.
Yes.
They think they have launched a nuke.
Yes.
They think the nuke has been reversed
Well,
back
yeah,
after them.
because they're so frightened they all die of a heart attack.
That was kind of
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
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 Oh, so the
So,
Eternals. Go ahead.
So when the 50 years is about to start and they're going to bring this dome down, there's this whole argument where you found out that Ajax is who he is and that Icarus is Icarus. The strapping blonde man is actually an Eternal, and he's explaining what Eternals are, yada yada. And that they have to leave now or they'll be trapped there for 50 years. And the professor says, well, I'm going to stay. This is my life's work. I think of how much I'll use. And his daughter is, well, I'm going to stay with you. And Icarus is like, nope, I need a pet. You need to come with me. You're a comely lass, and you will be for, well, in my lifetime, like a blink of an eye. But
And he literally picks
yeah,
her
he
up under his
basically
arm.
kidnapped her. She's like, I'm gonna stay with my dad. I'm gonna stay with my dad. And he's like, consent is not a thing for Eternals, and you're coming with me. You'll thank me for this later.
Yeah,
I
and
swear to
then
God, he says that.
I think so. And then he knocks her out,
Uh huh.
puts her in the plane,
Yes.
and then she kind of doesn't bring it up a lot after that.
Well, no.
And she's like,
Well, she's having a massive adventure at that point, so
yeah.
it was a call to
So
action.
yeah, and then do you meet Makari next, who is the Mercury character? Makari, is that kind of who we
No,
meet
I
next?
don't we
Or
meet
is it
Cersei
Cersei?
next?
Is it
I think we
Cersei?
meet
Okay.
Cersei next.
Okay, Cersei.
She is awesome.
Yeah, she's just fuck
Everything
all.
mythology. I mean, he just said, you know what? What if the Cersei from Ulysses is
Yeah,
real, and she's an Eternal, and she has these powers, and there she is in New York, just partying it up,
yeah, having a good time.
and she's great. I truly liked her.
Yeah, she was
I
good.
think I'm surprised they have a male comedian playing her. Isn't that who Kamali plays? Is that's a
Cersei?
joke. That was a
Oh,
joke.
I was
You're-
like, what? I was like, are you being serious? Oh God,
No.
you completely got. I'm so not. I'm so gullible. Go ahead. Jeez Louise.
He could play it.
Oh, he can pull it off. He's a good actor. He can do Cersei.
I'm sorry, I've lost my train of thought trying to make jokes.
No. So
Oh,
Cersei's a great character.
everyone that's listening to this should be very happy that I forgot to bring the pad I have in the other room where I was writing jokes down about all the characters, and I didn't review them to go in because I with Ajax I was writing down he seems to because at first I didn't get that they all basically had the same powers, so I was writing down Icarus the powers are this and I had a joke on him. Ajax, I wrote down. I did a
What?
list. I did
Okay.
the power of communication with Celestials, the power of something, and the power of coolness. Because that dude comes out of there with these bitchin' sunglasses on, and I mean, he was just it.
Oh yeah.
And I was just doing that with all of them, and I'm like, oh god, what are you working on like a tight two?
Yeah.
It was gonna be
Oh.
sad. So y'all are all. I didn't even review it. I forgot I had started that when I just read it instead of reading it and taking notes. I am not a good note taker.
Well, so you're right. I did love Cersei, and I'm sorry that you're not sharing all your great, hopefully probably bad but great jokes.
Oh, bad.
We also meet
I could go
the
get the
head.
pad.
You might have to. Uh, we meet the so maybe you're right. I think it's Cersei, then Mercury, Makari. Then we meet Zuras, the head honcho of the Eternals, and his daughter Thena. And we also meet Domo, who
Arigato.
very yeah. Domo is a kind of he reminds me of like a Metron character. I don't know if you know that character from the Fourth World. Just always behind a like a computer console or in a big seat controlling things. Kind of the nerdy one. And then we also meet Sprite at some point because he plays a prank on Icarus, right? Or gets into it with Icarus or something.
Yeah, hold on.
That it,
A matter of fact, I. Speaking of that, that cracked me up. Hold on, I screenshotted so
oh yeah,
it's despite the never-ending pursuit of peace, Eternals are still subject to some very human ways of achieving it. This is Icarus is chasing Sprite. Icarus of the Polar Mountains does not take this kind of welcome lightly. Hold fast, young one. Surely you Josh, dumb one. Sprite, your anger and honored guests, submit to discipline.
get ready to get a spanked. Get ready to get a spanked.
And then there is a the next panel is the call is also heard by the newly returned. Icarus is spanking him,
Yeah, yeah, I know.
and the what's her name? I can't remember the his pet.
Margot,
Margot, yeah,
Margot, yeah,
his pet. Yes, Icarus, don't spank him anymore.
yeah. He spanks him. Oh god. So yeah, there's some weird stuff going on. You also speaking of weird. So the deviants, Toad is in charge. This guy named Toad is in charge, but Crow,
Uh huh.
Kro, is kind of the lead warrior, like would be their head general, I think, of the deviants. And you find out that him and Thena had a thing. Did you remember? They intimate that they were a thing or forbidden love or something, and
Yes,
they,
Athena, and Devilman
yeah, Crow.
Crow were a thing.
Yeah. So there's that. There's a normal looking deviant. Also, there's that section where there's a normal human looking deviant that they're going to kill, but he's super good at fighting and beats this. Oh,
Sorry, ignore that.
okay.
Yeah.
Whoop.
I killed that accidentally. Sorry, I was looking at the thing and I came back. It was doing something weird.
Oh, here, call me again.
I'm going to if I remember how to FaceTime someone.
Done.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay. No, you're good. No, so there's that part that I thought was interesting, and just speaking of, there's not much in the way of development of the characters beyond just a very superficial. Like, here's your name,
There
here's
is
what they do.
literally no development of characters whatsoever. Margot has some slight character of okay, I'm not sure I want to be, but then she's literally treated like a pet by every one of the Eternals.
Yeah, and
Cersei is like, okay, this is a good little thing. I like her. She can. I'll stand protect her. And yeah, oh my gosh.
well, at least you got a little bit about Thena. I think it's Thena and Crow, the Deviants
Yes.
head general, that they had this thing, and there's a little development there. And then there's also a really, that one part where there's a human-looking deviant born that is grotesque to the deviants.
Yes.
And they put him in a death match with this, even they consider horrendous, way off the chart, grotesque deviant called, I think, Karkos. But you find out he's not just some raging beast, this Karkos guy. this
After
this
he's
big red,
defeated by the comely lad.
and then Athena has mercy on them both,
Mm-hmm.
the human looking deviant and Carcos. And Carcos has a great line that I meant to write down. Oh, yeah, I did write it down. The fault lies not with the monsters. We were made this way, not we were made this way, not born this way. That was, just because they look, a certain way, and doesn't mean they're the bad guy or or without
Yeah.
thought and feeling.
What you're
That was a good part.
Yeah, no, what you're saying is Jack Kirby, not subtle.
No, no, he's not. He is in your face a lot of times with these big ideas, which
He
you
likes
know,
big ideas. I enjoy big ideas, but wow.
yeah.
It just
So
I wanted more depth, I think. But he only had X number of issues, suck it, to do what he needed to do, and he wanted to do this big booming epic. He did it.
well, and no, and this whole thing. I mean, we read the first 11 issues. I think
Hmm.
the whole thing is 19
Yeah.
issues. He did. You're right. He was trying to get in what he wanted to get in, I think. And now look, these characters weren't just in this run by Kirby. They get picked up again. There's this whole thing where Thor is involved, and they kind of really get them into the Marvel comic book 616 universe that I've read parts of years and years and years ago. But I know that's not done by Kirby. And then I know Neil Gaiman did a take on the Eternals
Hmm.
not too terribly long ago, like in the early to mid 2000s, I think. So these characters have been picked up. I think the ideas have been fleshed out more.
Do you suspect we're going to get more of a Neil Gaiman Eternals than we are a Jack Kirby Eternals in the movie?
Yes, I would guess, or something, some amalgamation of the later Eternals stuff
Hmm.
post Kirby. Now, what I hope they stay with is the big, the
Ajax
visuals,
sunglasses.
well, some of the visuals. I
Hey,
really hope
isn't
the big
Salma
spaceship.
Hayek playing Ajax?
I was just looking that up. Selma Hayek is playing Ajax.
Yeah,
You're absolutely right.
she should absolutely wear sunglasses or whatever she
Yep.
wants. God bless her.
Please, please. Hey, and just so you know, I pulled up the cast list for the movie.
Hmm.
You're not a fan of Black Knight. I don't think I'm speaking out of school when I say
I'm
that.
not. I was not a fan of Black Knight in the arc of Avengers that we read. But again, I don't like a lot of characters in team books, so I read their individual books, Hawkeye, that I really learned to enjoy because I read them when they got to be fleshed out as people instead of some confused person trying to start a throuple before that was a thing.
There you go. Well,
Yes.
just so you know, in the movie, and I didn't know this until I pulled up the cast list, there is a Dane Whitman character, which is the comic book version of Black Knight that I knew from the 80s,
Hmm.
who wields a mystical sword.
I
Sounds like a
mean,
Black Knight character to
I
me.
mean, who doesn't wield a mystical sword?
Well, and get this, Kit Harington is playing him from
Okay,
Game of Thrones.
cool.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. It's you've said some, these things. I mean, again, this is from '76.
Yes, it is definitely a comic of its time. It was trying to it's still for kids, but he was trying so hard to be something that comics weren't yet, at least not in, sorry, not in mainstream Marvel and DC comics. He was trying to be something that the comics weren't what Marvel and DC were.
Well, and he was pushing, but it is kind of cool that he was pushing the medium
He
even in the
was
'70s.
he was
Still got it. Back then for
Oh
sure.
yeah.
When
Oh
this
yeah.
came out, I'm sure it was like, oh wow, you've seen what Kirby's doing back at Marvel.
Yeah.
He did this. He did a 2001 Space Odyssey ongoing for a
Hmm.
little bit, and then that's where Machine Man came out of in that same time
um
period. So yeah,
should I watch that movie?
yeah. Did you admit to me that you've never
Oh,
watched
I
2001 Space?
now it's a thing. Yes, I haven't watched it.
I can't believe you've never. It is the
Should
first
should we
space.
watch it together sometime?
Sure,
Okay, we'll do that.
absolutely.
I'll let
No,
you
absolutely.
I'll let you introduce me to it.
It's Kubrick, and I love it.
Mm.
I know Kubrick, personal life, maybe not a great guy apparently, but who was apparently don't meet your heroes.
Oh, I was gonna say, hold on, you weren't gonna blow off that and go, you know, everybody has problems in there. I was like, oh, buddy, no.
No, 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 no,
Oh,
no,
Hav, no.
no, no,
No. Oh,
no,
Hav,
no, no,
no.
no,
Back
no.
away.
No, but I do like the movie, and it is the first, I think, space horror movie.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
See, that might be why I stayed
because
away from it.
yeah,
I
it
don't like
is.
gore movies.
Well, it's not gory. It's
No, I know.
just
I don't. Okay. I got you.
yeah. So,
Yeah,
anyways,
it's thriller more, so I would. There's things that I would like. Okay.
oh yeah, and visually,
Yeah.
it's good. But it's interesting that Kirby, with these big spaceships that he did in Eternals, and then he's doing 2001: A Space Odyssey. That's
Hmm.
The Marvel adaptation. But going back to the movie, what I hope they do take from this and from Kirby are and I've seen some screenshots of some of the machines, and they're not as colorful probably, but it does look like they are taking some of the big machines and at least in some measure bringing them to the big screen, which I think is cool.
They would almost have to if you're gonna if he's gonna have created this world that he did. It would be a shame, considering movies are a visual medium, not to bring it to that. I mean, that was the conversations you and I had when we first met, talking about comic books, and everybody's like, "Oh, a comic book." Back in that whole, you can't make a good comic book movie, and you and I were both like, "A comic book is a bloody storyboard. So how can you
Yeah.
not make a good comic book movie?" I mean, they literally lay it out. It's laid out there. You absolutely can, and I have to say, when I showed my mom and my nephew Captain America: The First Avenger, I had so much fun because they had so much fun when they made that movie, absolutely using the storyboards, including two-page splash pages. You know how they do, because and it would be him jumping over a tank, and I would, every time they do something like that, I go comic book. And I started doing that
Yeah.
with all the Marvel movies when we watch them, when they do one of those scenes that is just absolutely a two-page spread of action. I'd go comic book, and Corbin, my nephew, started doing that. Sometimes he'd go
Ha!
comic book, and I'm like, "Yep, comic book." That right there is just pure out of a comic book, and they throw it up there, and it's beautiful.
And look, you're right. It's great source material, storyboard, yes, but not at the same time. Some fanboys, some comic book fans want their version of that property to be exactly adapted for panel, and then from to the other extreme, like okay, tap the brakes. You're not going to get 1986 Avengers that I grew up with,
And you would not like it.
and it would not translate well, by the way. Just like I think I told you when I got all excited about Guardians of the Galaxy,
Yeah.
and I said, "Oh, read this the Abnett Lanning run," because
Yes.
visually, yeah, they borrowed some,
Oh, it
but
was, and the art in that is incredible, but it is
but
nothing like the Guardians of the Galaxy.
yeah, but they took the best parts.
Uh huh.
They took certain elements of it,
Yes. I mean,
and
Rocket's not even in it.
yeah. So, anyways, that's a weird little tangent to go on, but not weird, but oh, and we mentioned that because the reason I suggested we read Eternals is because the movie's coming out fairly soon. When the heck is the movie coming out?
Yeah, this year I believe.
November. November. No, I thought it was going to be more closer in time than November. Oh well, we got Black Widow at least coming out.
We got Black Widow. Isn't there some? There's a bunch of stuff coming out this year and early next year too. But
I think you're right.
I'm
I think you're right.
pretty sure anybody that's listening to our podcast knows exactly what Marvel movies are going to come out.
Yeah, I'm
they're
sure they do.
they're not tuning in to hear that. They're going to tune in to hear Caesar next week or two
There
weeks
you
from
go.
now or whenever he does. They're all like,
Yeah,
actually, some of the people listening probably know who Caesar is.
that is true.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts, takeaways about Eternals before we kind of wrap it up?
I don't really have that many more thoughts about it. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to go ahead and read the rest of it. I guess I should, because sometimes I'm a completionist, but, ugh, I don't know. Probably,
Yeah,
maybe, I don't know.
I'm
Probably,
gonna finish
it's
it.
a definitely probably, maybe, I don't know.
Okay.
I am interested to see where they go with it. I did kind of feel like we abruptly ended, and I'm like, okay, I could know a little more with what goes on. But
Yeah,
do we want to compare and contrast
sure.
Flintstones?
I mean, if you go for it.
They're both about themes.
Yeah.
They
Okay.
really are both really seriously about themes. In a lot of ways, the Flintstones is no more subtle in what they're talking. It's done poignantly and wonderfully, but there's not a lot of subtlety in the message coming across through the Flintstones.
You're right. You're right. And
It is
in
right there,
fact,
and it's done brilliantly. But it is there. Do not. It is written in such a way that you can like it, but not miss it.
oh yeah, no, they're not pulling any punches. And if there's anybody that doesn't get what he's trying to do, I don't
Then
know what to
I
do.
don't know how they had the ability to read or look at the pictures.
Right. And hey, look, Kirby when he oh there we go. That was weird. It went dead,
Yeah,
didn't it, for a
you
second?
went for yeah.
Okay, that was weird.
I heard it,
For
but
just a
then I
second.
saw you just mouthing, and then go ahead, go back to that.
It came back.
Yeah.
Well, no. Well, in the same way, Kirby not pulling any punches, big ideas, throwing it down. Look, there are these ancient celestials, gods. To the point, though, remember you were talking about all the stuff that was coming out in the '70s. There's it's called Chariots of the Gods. It was a book by an author whose name I am blanking on that I think heavily influenced. I mean, Kirby wanted to call it something like Space Gods or something.
Yeah, he
Maybe.
wanted to call it similar to that, and they 86 that.
I think Marvel Legal was like, yeah, we don't want to get sued.
Yeah.
So don't do that by Eric von Daniken, Chariots of the Gods, which is where ancient aliens and everybody is about. Aliens have been visiting us. Why are there pyramids in Egypt and in Mexico and in South America and pyramid type structures elsewhere? There's no way these civilizations could have done that on their own. They couldn't. Humans are too stupid back then to have moved these huge pieces of rock. And I was like,
And
okay,
now
but
we know how they did it, and
yeah,
it wasn't really that shocking when someone was like, "Well, no, actually, this is how it was done." Oh,
yeah,
they could do that. It's like
yeah,
the whole Easter Island, the
yeah,
statues there when they were like, "Well, watch, they rolled them like this. They carved them here. They rolled it like this, and they built up a thing to tilt it up." And then the giant celestial picked the hat up off the ground and put it on their head. I mean, I don't know why y'all thought they were. Oops, I've given too much away. Uh,
yeah. Well, yeah, big questions. I mean, the Flintstones, the whole God thing. I think
huh.
Kirby's questioning
Oh yeah,
about
everything.
God and what are gods and gods
I
and
I I
what's our
would
place in the universe.
I would think that they go a little two different ways because a lot of the Flintstones I got the all gods are made up, and with Kirby I got the all gods are real.
Yes, they're just different alien
Well,
species.
yeah, I mean they're alien species, and but the gods are out there,
Hmm.
and they will come and destroy us because they found out Hav used to masturbate.
Yeah. Well, that's one of them anyway. Yeah, yeah. I shouldn't have been doing that. Should not have been doing that. I don't know. I don't know if there's any other big comparisons
No,
or.
I
I
was just
mean,
having fun because they're such just completely different
yeah.
genre, everything.
Okay. Well, hey, let me ask you, what are you going to suggest for me to read next time?
What I am going to suggest that you read is Bitter Root.
Bitter Root. I've heard of that. Oh,
Yeah,
you paused. You paused the video.
did I? Okay, well
Yeah.
that's fine. We don't have to.
Okay.
You can't see me. I just moved so I could see my iPad to make sure that's what I want you to read. Over the next yeah, episodes. Jesus, I am in my head on that. So the next
Sorry.
two episodes, I'm going to have you read Bitter Root,
Okay.
and it's on Hoopla. It's the first 5 issues. I just started it, and I am halfway through the first 5 issues, and I love it. So read that. And then I got from the library Bendis's first volume of Alias.
Alias. Okay.
Yes, because you and I have
I thought you were going to do me do powers.
no. I was gonna do that, and then I realized that you hadn't read Alias yet because
Right.
we talked about that, and I was gonna just loan it to you because I have it on Kindle, but
Okay.
it won't let me loan it. I tried
Okay.
because some things won't be allowed to loan, so I went ahead and just ordered it from the library. I'm gonna grab it and drop it off at your place. I got some booze
Okay.
for you and your lady fair as well, so I'll
Oh,
drop
cool.
that off too.
Good deal.
Yeah.
I have really. I need to. I'm done with the old. The stuff from when we were kids, or even when we were in diapers.
But that was the whole thing. You're gonna let me read something good? Well, no, this is still you. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I think I am going to ask you to read We Three
Okay.
by Grant Morrison
All right.
and Frank Quietly. It's only 3 issues,
Yeah, I had started
but
it when you suggested I
okay,
read it before this. So you're not
okay.
going to insist that we finish the Eternals for the next one?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Unless you're really going to be broken about that.
I can read that on my own.
Yeah, and then the other thing I was going to suggest after that is a DC, and we haven't done. Have we even done any DC yet?
Yes.
What do we do? Oh, Justice League. Duh. Sorry. Um, oh my gosh. Okay, sorry about that. Wow. Hey, the '90s were fun. Okay,
We had a whole episode about Guy Gardner's haircut.
that's right. I'm sorry. I don't know why I brain farted there. Okay,
That was the one I was a moron during, and you blocked out my
I
awfulness. I appreciate that. Thank you.
you were brilliant. That's all I remember about that now. Justice League, Guy Gardner, Charles is brilliant. I was going to suggest a DC Elseworlds limited series called Golden Age
Okay.
that you read that,
Okay.
and I think yeah, we'll do We Three and then do Golden Age that order.
Okay.
And let me just tell you, it's been a while since I read We Three. It is a rough read,
Okay.
just to prepare you.
All right.
And then yeah, okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, to everybody that's been listening to this one, we appreciate wholeheartedly everybody that's been tuning in and listening to the podcast. I really do, and I think Charles does too, appreciate feedback, whether it's if you know me personally, give me a call or shoot us an email. Or
Yeah.
hey, if there's something that you don't like or like,
Yeah.
I take
Constructive
notes.
constructive criticism, anything you say, any way you think that Hav can improve, let me know. And I will absolutely talk to him about it gently and kindly the way I always do.
That is awesome.
I truly would like to hear feedback from y'all. The only information I've gotten from people is positive, and I know they're holding back because
Oh,
it was from my brother and Caesar. So I know they have feelings and ideas and whatever. Although Caesar did kind of dunk on me online, and I even missed it briefly on Facebook.
What do you do?
Patrick promoted our little podcast, and I made a comment about it that jokingly I did the whole thing like I always do, like it's really weird. I'm gonna listen to every episode multiple times, and I did this whole thing, and I can't wait. I can't wait until I listen to episode 5 and over and over before it's released and spend all this time on it. And then
Nice.
Caesar wrote, I can't wait for issue 5 to listen to
Nice.
issue 5.
Nice.
And I liked it, and I did not notice what he did. And then for some reason I went back and looked at it again, and I was like, God, you son of a bitch, you bastard! I see what you did. I just saw what you did there.
It just clicked.
I can't wait for issue 5.
Hey, we're going back real fast. You mentioned Alias. You said Alias is not available on Hoopla?
No,
what
it's
you were
not.
saying?
I don't think it
Okay.
is. Yeah. So
And how many? Okay, go ahead.
it's only like 5 or 6
Issues.
issues, pages.
Pages. That's a short
Yeah.
novel.
Yeah. Well, I was having trouble coming up with what it was, so I was like pages. Pages. It's a limited number of pages. No, it's a short arc. They're broken up into any kind of a volume. So it's the first arc of Alias. I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
And we can compare and contrast to the TV show which I know we both watched.
No, you know what? I never watched that show. Jennifer Garner?
No,
Right.
not Alias, not that. Jessica Jones.
Oh, that's Jessica Jones.
Jessica
Okay.
Jones Alias. Yes.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yes.
That makes more sense now.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, you were very confused. No, Jessica Jones.
I was.
Jessica
Okay,
Jones.
All right.
Yeah, no.
Good. Okay.
Not Jennifer
All
Garner.
right.
Oh, wow,
I'm
you're
a
like.
lot more interested.
No.
I was thinking it was okay.
Oh,
my
I'm
God.
sorry.
Okay.
I don't.
No, I just disconnect.
Yeah.
Just her. You're right. Her private investigation agency.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. No, and hey, Bendis. I read his run on Avengers back in the day,
Yeah.
and otherwise, I know I've read other Bendis stuff. I'm just blanking on it.
I have read so much Bendis because I like
I
it.
know
That's not a knock in any way whatsoever. It's just I've read an enormous number of comic books that he's written, including all of Powers at this point, and I love Powers, and I will. I was just having trouble finding the first arc of Powers that I knew it was just the first arc because I can get these giant volume omnibuses at the library, but I don't know how much of that to tell you to read if I get it for you, and so it makes it a little more difficult. You can get it too. Since I decided on that, I thought I would just order it. It's at the library already. It made it. So
Okay. Speaking of the public library, I know we plugged it a few times already.
we have to plug it every episode. That they are paying us in free books. they are letting me read as much as I want to as long as I keep plugging it. I think that's how it works, right? Only those of us with a podcast that plug the public library can go in and check out books anytime and DVDs and read all this digital material that we read.
No, actually, you know what? It's for anybody, Charles.
Is
It's
it?
actually for anybody.
The
Yes,
public library is for anybody?
and and again, I have to thank you because I, for some reason, put it off getting my Dallas Public Library card that gave me access to all their inventory online. And plus, yes, you can still go get, you know, physical books and stuff. But the Hoopla is what the platform or the app that you can, you know, if you live in Dallas, I'm sure every major metropolitan area has some. If Dallas has it, every top 10, 20 market probably in the country has it. I would bet. I don't know, but it's just a great resource that's there. That again, I'm kicking myself because I'm just now starting to use it, and now it's awesome. So
I just checked because you got confused about it. It's Jessica Jones Alias.
okay,
So I just have been calling it Alias because that's the big letter. So did that I can see why you were confused with
I
what I
don't
was saying.
well, and I don't know why I thought Bendis did a show Alias that the Jennifer Garner
Yeah, no,
TV
that
show
was
was based on. That
no
was
no.
just a TV show, right?
Yeah, Alias was a TV show by who's it? What's it that just did the Star Trek movies and
Oh, J.J. Abrams?
yeah, it was J.J. Abrams, wasn't it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it was
never
Abrams.
watched that show. That's
All
why
right,
I never watched that show.
the funny thing is I tried to watch it years later after everybody had watched it and loved it, and it was good, but I still didn't see. I watched like the first 4 or 5 episodes, and everything ended with a cliffhanger, and I'm like, oh fuck me.
Yeah,
That was all.
right.
That was all. I was like, this is good. I'm enjoying this, but okay, come on. And I think
Yeah, well, like 24.
if I'd have watched it at the time, I probably would have loved it. But it was just that difference of I'm right out.
Yeah.
Although
got you.
I do have to go back and watch Fringe again. Have you watched Fringe? Okay,
I do. I
yeah,
like
Fringe was awesome.
No, we're
Yeah,
yeah.
we are, ladies and gentlemen. We'd like to apologize for Hav letting me ramble on like this. It really is. Again, let me know anything I can do to make Hav better at this. I will try. God knows I will try. Julie, if you're listening, you can text me. Hell, text me on our little group, Hav, Charles, and Julie text chain. You're fine. He needs to hear it. We'll pretend he's not there, and we'll figure out a way to make him better.
I appreciate that. I really do. But hey, again, thank you to everybody that has tuned in for episode 5 of Hav and Charles Talk Comics.
And God bless you for listening this far into it.
Yes. If you're still listening, you are a hero, a super freaking hero.
But happy 4th of July, Hav. I will talk to you momentarily. Hopefully, we're still. Holy crap! I have not been doing my job. Did I lose you?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I just realized I have not been saving and saved. I generally have the thing up. I've been watching you, so it's a little different. So I haven't been paying attention to saving and making sure our clean feed is. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much one more time. Happy 4th of July that Hav and I are enjoying right now. Hav, thank you for doing this with me. We appreciate all of you.
Bye.
Bye.